From the start of my Turo career till now, I've had 26 different guests pay me to drive my Tesla all around the East Coast of the United States. But for the entire past month, which was month number 5 on Turo, not a single person picked up my car. It just sat in my driveway, collecting a little bit of dust and costing a little bit of money. To be exact, it cost me $561 for the loan payment, the insurance, the premium Tesla connectivity, and a car wash, with $0 in revenue. We covered months 1 through 3 in their own dedicated videos. However, I haven't updated you on month number 4 yet, where I had 6 renters before this disaster of a month. First, a 2-day rental, which I made $83 from because he paid extra for the prepaid EV charging, which means he can return the Tesla to me with any amount of battery, so they don't have to worry about filling it up before getting it back and ending their trip. He drove just 78 miles in spite of being allowed to drive up to 500 before there's any additional mileage charges, so he basically put like barely any miles on the car. Then I had a 1.5 day rental, which was honestly a terrible deal for my guest because he ended up paying over $300. Firstly, because the half day was charged as a full day, he just returned it much earlier, which was an additional $59. Second, because he paid $70 for unlimited mileage, even though he only drove 350, which was fully within the allowed 500 miles if he had not paid extra, so I guess he did it just to be safe. And the third reason it cost him kind of a lot for a 1.5 days is he left the Tesla plugged in at a supercharger while he went somewhere else. So unlike charging at home or even charging at an apartment or an office building where you might leave your car plugged in for like overnight or during the workday, Tesla superchargers are meant to be treated more like gas stations. You pull up, you fill up, and then you leave. You don't loiter there. If you do, you're gonna pull into a parking spot. I mean, I guess some people do anyway, where they like park at the gas tank and then they walk into the gas station for like 20 minutes and then there's like a line form. I don't know. I don't miss the gas station experience, but most people at a gas station don't sit there for like 7 hours. Now, if nobody else is at a supercharger, it's kind of no problem. I personally have car camped in my other Tesla, just like while traveling around the US, and I've actually stayed plugged in for over 6 hours, and it was no problem because I purposely pick unpopular superchargers that get very little traffic, and that means I don't interfere with anyone else's supercharging. However, if you stay plugged in after charging, and the supercharger is busy or completely full, you're taking up valuable charging space for other drivers. So Tesla's solution to this is idling fees, which means that they automatically charge you between 50 cents to $1 per minute that you're sitting at the charger. The amount is dependent on how busy the charger is, and this guy ended up racking up nearly $90 in idling fees alone, which is billed to my personal Tesla account. So the good news is he was a very good renter in regards to not only taking care of the car, but he did not hesitate to take responsibility for his little like oopsie, and he paid me back without fighting the charges. So yeah, not a cheap rental for him, and I personally ended up making $147 off this trip because of the unlimited mileage that kind of inflated my earnings for this. The third trip of the month was nearly a week long, but I only made $178, which, I mean, that's only a few dollars more than what I made off the 1-day rental. And this is because this renter didn't pay for any extras. The good news is he only drove 225 miles in spite of being allowed 1,250 miles before any additional fees. So he could have driven an extra 1,000 miles, but he didn't really go that many places. So that means the wear and tear and the mileage depreciation was quite low from this guy, which is nice. The fourth trip of the month was also a 1.5 days. I made $102 because he prepaid for EV charging as well, which is $20. Also, I should mention, the nice thing about this $20 that I get if people buy this extra is, okay, that's about what it costs to supercharge a long-range Model 3 from 0 to 100. But superchargers are more expensive than actual electricity because you're paying for the service and the location and the speed, I guess. But because I personally have a home charger, it's only like $6 or $7 to fill up at home. So I basically earn the equivalent of like a Chipotle bowl when people choose this option, even if they return the car with literally 0% battery, because I just take it to my house. Well, okay, I can't get it to my house if it's a 0%, but luckily nobody's actually returned it with 0%. Then I can just drive it back to the house, plug it in, and it's good to go for the next renter. Unlike, say, if this was a gas car and they return it with an empty tank, I do have to go fill it up at a gas station and pay the, like regular amount of gas. I don't have a gas station at home. The fifth trip was 6 days. This renter drove 1,450 miles, which was over the limit allowed. It was 200 miles over the limit. So she was charged an extra 22 cents per mile, which is a $44 bonus for me. I actually kind of like when people go over the limit because, yes, miles depreciate a car, but $44 for an extra 200 miles, I'll take it. Now, she spent over $300 on supercharging, which of course I get reimbursed for it, but that is a lot to spend within 1,500 miles. Because I just drove a Tesla from California to North Carolina, and we didn't even spend $400 on supercharging, even though we drove twice the miles as she did on this trip. This guest also paid for the prepaid EV recharge, so in the end, I got $221 for this trip. And the final trip of the month was 10 days long, where I made $368. This is actually the most money I've ever made from a single trip. So when I started out on Turo, I didn't really rely on the auto pricing feature, which is an algorithm they use to automatically custom set the price it costs to rent my car each day. So they base it on a variety of trends and how other cars are renting on the platform. So this way, in theory, you get maximum rental days while making maximal income. Like they try to balance it all out so that it's rented a lot and it's a fair price. But I had been struggling to get any guests using auto pricing previously, probably because I had very low ratings and there were just a lot of Teslas on the platform, which means that if you're scrolling through the Durham area and you're looking for a Tesla, you're probably not going to pick mine because it has fewer reviews, even though it's the same price as the other Teslas. So to compensate for this, I was reducing the amount anywhere from $5 to up to $25 discounts per day, like that amount under the suggested price, in hopes that more people would rent my car. And it did start to work. I saw the rental numbers go up, but the revenue did not go up too much. The benefit, however, was getting more people in my car meant I got more ratings on my car, which helped me achieve all-star host status. So that kind of boosts me in the algorithm. And so for this 4th month on Turo, I ended up actually just using the auto pricing. I didn't touch it, I just let it be as is. And so getting all those reviews finally started to pay off because my car looked better on the platform. It was higher up in the algorithm. In fact, oftentimes when I'm looking through Turo to compare and see how other people are doing, usually my listing is the top result for Teslas in Durham, which might sound very specific, but there are a lot of Teslas in Durham. So I was very happy to see my car pop up before anyone else's. And now that I've got this kind of good reputation going on Turo, yeah, I could just trust the Turo process and let them decide the rental fees for me. So for the 4th month of Turo, I made $1,146 in revenue, in addition to $15 I made from selling the broken taillight I had. I sold it on eBay for parts not working, and this is because the taillight died last month, or maybe 2 months ago. I replaced it, I bought a new one on eBay, sold the broken one on eBay, so hey, $15, I'll take it. That's another Chipotle bowl. And on our 4th month, the car was rented out for a whopping 27 days out of the month, which is also a new record for me. So just all around, this was a very good month, and the expenses were no higher than usual. It was just the regular $554 for the loan, the insurance, and the Tesla subscription. It got a few hand washes at home and nothing broke, so I didn't pay for car washes, and I did not, I didn't have to fix it. A lot of people have recommended that I get a monthly unlimited car wash subscription, which in theory, yeah, that's kind of perfect for this kind of thing, because think about how much I'm washing the car. But honestly, the math just doesn't work out to make it worth it, because the unlimited car washes, they're like $25 to $35 a month. And on average, I'm spending less than $20 a month on car washes, even though I'm paying one car wash at a time, because the car really just didn't get that dirty. It just required a couple washes in between a couple guests. In fact, I have stopped washing the car in between every single guest because some just, like the guy that drove 78 miles, he didn't really get any dirt on the car. Yeah, we like vacuumed the interior and maybe wiped down the screen or whatever, but for the most part, most people have been keeping the car pretty clean. It's just those select few people who make a total mess of it that requires like a deep cleaning. So in the end, I had a 31-day profit of $607 this go around. And that's an amount of money that if it was earned every month, Turo would be like hands down, no questions asked, totally worth it to me. There were no big issues with guests, and I had no cancellations. There were also no deliveries, no pickups, and no stranded guests I had to go save. It was just back to back, clean the car, prepare the car, and answer intermittent questions about the car anytime a guest does text for a little bit of help. However, like I mentioned before, the 6 trips we just covered were the month prior to this month. This month, month 5, nobody rented the Turo Tesla. Honestly, I don't even know why. Like, okay, the car has 5 stars across the board. I'm still an all-star host. The pricing was on auto, just like the previous good month, and I had 100% flexibility on this car. I'm one of the Turo listings where you can pick up, drop off, or get delivery literally 24 hours a day. You could pick it up at 3 a.m. I could deliver it at 8 a.m. You could drop it off at 11 p.m. Like, there's no rules to my Turo listing. Just do with it as you please, basically. And yet still, in spite of checking what I consider all these really good boxes, no rentals. Which means that the very, very good month we just had was essentially eaten up by the payments that I had to make this month on the loan and on the insurance. So if you look at the last 60-day period, instead of just month to month, it's kind of break even because I spent another $500 something keeping this car as mine. However, it is worth noting that $450 a month of these expenses aren't just going down the drain, like say to insurance. Like I pay insurance, I don't see that money back. However, I pay $450 towards the loan, and that is paying the car off. And so every month, we're one step closer to another fully paid off Tesla Model 3. However, one of my primary goals with the Turo experience is specifically focused on cash flow. This is how many dollars are in my bank at the end of each month that I got from Turo after paying the expenses, and then I can use this money just for whatever I want, like maybe Chipotle bowls. And it's just so aggressively inconsistent that I never really know what to expect. Like I kind of have to save the money that I make so that, well, when we have a month like this, I can continue comfortably paying the bills without having to pull out of like savings or putting it on a credit card or something. I'm kind of trying to not put so many things on credit cards nowadays. Now, another benefit would be if I actually drove this car. Now, I stand by the fact that I don't believe you should rent out your primary car on Turo. Like some people own one car, like so let's say it's a Tesla. This is my blue Tesla. This is how I get to work. This is how I pick up my kids from school. Also on the weekends, I put it on Turo for extra money. That sounds like a disaster to me. I would never want to put my primary car on Turo. However, let's say it's a secondary car that my theoretical wife drives sometime. My theoretical fantasy world wife that watches our kid, stay-at-home mom, this is her car or something. I don't know. We put it on Turo for extra money. It's not that. Like, nobody uses this car when it's not being rented out. So anytime a stranger isn't paying me to drive it, it's really just taking up space and collecting dust. Just looking pretty, looking cute. The little garage princess Tesla, except it's not in a garage. It's just in my driveway. So, okay, what's to come? Like, are we just going to keep yo-yoing between these good months and these bad months? Just like forever until the end of eternity? Well, maybe. I have no idea. That's why we're doing this flipping series so we can find out. However, it is now springtime, which makes me feel optimistic because while the earnings have been rocky up to this point, I have been trying to rent a semi-luxury sporty car. I know it's not a sports car. I know it's not a luxury car. It's a nicer car. It's a fast car. And I've been trying to rent it out during autumn and winter. But I mean, personally, I do the most travel and I take the most trips and I do the most driving when it's warm. So NC has pretty cold winters. I mean, not like horrible, but it's like 20 to 30 degrees every day for months. But in the summer, we have beautiful summers. So one of the big motivators for me to continue Turo is knowing that spring and summer have yet to be experienced. I mean, this car has already been taken to the beach, like by guests. during the winter, and it's been used for weddings. But I mean, obviously, summer is the prime beach time, and a lot of people have various summer celebrations like weddings and get togethers. And think about college students, they're going to be out of school, and a lot of Turo cars and just like rental cars in general, usually they require you to be 25 or older to rent. Not all of them, but some of them. However, my Turo Tesla only requires you to be 21. So it could appeal to slightly older college students. So I'm excited. This good month, well, okay, we had a bad month, but I just keep looking back to that good month. That was really nice to have an extra 600 buckaroos from renting out a Tesla. I think it's a cool experience and I enjoy it. And if you enjoy this series, but you want to see more than just like numbers on a screen with B-roll of the Tesla, I'll link the full Turo playlist below, which features much more hands-on work and more experiences with guests, as well as a recent deep dive into the Turo platform. I'll also link a few more playlists that you might find interesting, including renting rooms out in my house, working for side hustle apps like Amazon Flex, and just having more fun with cars. But that'll be it for this video. I'm Alex, and thanks for watching.